Imagine if there were an organ in your body that weighed as much as your brain, that affected your health, your weight, and even your behavior. Wouldn't you want to know more about it? There is such an organ, the collection of microbes in and on your body, your human microbiome. The human microbiome is an invisible powerhouse, trillions of microbes working silently within us to shape our health, immunity, and even mood. Today, let's explore how this microscopic world holds the key to our overall well being. Let's explore human microbiome in this episode of Biochemistry Insights. Now, before we go further, we must understand the meaning of certain terminologies used in this context. You must have heard of gut microflora. Supposing this is our gut, it contains many microbial communities. Now, these microbial communities are not only bacteria, they can be any other type of microbial forms. Now, microbiota means a set of all communities of various microbes found in gut. As you can see in this picture, several different bacterial or fungal protozoal communities, they live inside our gut, forming the microflora or microbiota. There is another term which is commonly used. This is microbiome. Microbiome means set of all genes present in all organisms of gut taken together. That means microbiome represents the gene pool of our gut. Now, just as we have gut microflora and gut microbiome, we also have oral microflora. Inside our mouth, we have several communities living, forming the oral microflora, which eventually gives rise to oral microbiome, the gene pool of microbial communities found inside our mouth. Similarly, we have skin microflora and skin microbiome and vaginal microbiome as well. Apart from these, if there is any particular niche populated with microbial communities, that will be a unique microbiome. So, human microbiome will include gut microbiome, oral microbiome, vaginal microbiome, and even the skin microbiome. All together is human microbiome. Apart from these listed microbiomes, if any particular niche containing microbial communities is found inside our body, that will also add to human microbiome. The human body is 10 times more microbial cells than human cells. There are trillions of microbes in our body, and in a combined way, we refer them as our microbiome. Why do we call these as personal microbiome? Each human being has a unique profile of microbiome, therefore, very personal. Now, the interesting thing is what's so special about personal microbiome? What's in our gut? Let's look into our gut. We find bacteria, fungi, protozoa, yeast, and many other microbes inside our gut. The next thing to know is where do we get our microbes from? Where do we get our microbes? At birth, our gut is considered completely sterile, free from any microorganism. But the scenario changes almost immediately as we take birth. The moment a baby is delivered, it becomes exposed to microbes from its mother and the surrounding environment. When we talk about human microbiome, one of the most fascinating questions is where does it all begin? At birth, our gut is considered completely sterile, free from any microorganism. But this changes almost immediately. The moment baby is delivered, it becomes exposed to microbes from its mother and the surrounding environment. You can see in this picture, mother has several microbiomes, as just as skin microbiome, oral microbiome, and her own gut microbiome. When the baby is inside the womb, the gut of the baby is completely sterile. While delivery, the baby passes through the birth canal of the mother. While moving out, it gets coated with bacteria from the birth canal of the mother. And these bacteria, they disperse and gradually enter the gut of the infant. Dispersal and community formation. Again, dispersal, community formation. This is how microbiome keeps on diversifying. After birth, the baby increases its interaction with its surrounding and it has different types of diets as well, further stimulating the diversification of its microbiome. As these interaction goes up and eventually baby becomes adult, it develops a stable, diversified adult microbiome. So, our microbiome, it's not something we are born with. It is something we inherit, acquire, and shape through constant interactions with our mother, diet, and our environment. Think about it. Even before a baby takes its first breath, it's already meeting the first microbe. So, how might this first microbial encounter differ for babies born through vaginal or C-section? Let's explore that. How does the birth mode shape the microbiome? During a vaginal delivery, the newborn acquires its first microbial community from the mother's birth canal. These microbes rapidly colonize the skin, mouth, and gut. The newborn acquires its first microbial community from the mother's birth canal, most commonly the bifidobacteria. While babies born by C-section are exposed to a different set of microbes like ones that live on skin. If the delivery is by cesarean section, the first microbe often come from the mother's skin and hospital environment, leading to a slightly different early microbiome. Gut microbiome of the C-section babies often contain more skin-associated bacteria such as Staphylococcus and Bifidobacteria that are common in vaginally born infants. These early differences may influence how the immune system develops, how efficiently the baby digests milk, and even how the baby responds to infections and allergies later in life. So, the simple question of how were you born might actually reveal clues about your very first microbial inheritance. From the very first moments of life, a newborn's world is teeming with invisible companions, the microbes. But their story doesn't end at birth. It continues with every feed they take. Breast milk is the nature's superfood and it is alive. It contains microbes as well as nutrients that act as selective fertilizers for friendly bacteria such as bifidobacteria. Together, they train the infant's immune system and guard against invading harmful microbes. Formula-fed infants, on the other hand, encounter a different microbial journey, one shaped by environmental and dietary factors. Their gut communities include more diverse bacteria, including Enterobacteriaceae, reflecting how each feeding choice can influence the microbiome in its own way. Now let us look into one of the early life experiment reported in 2010 by Dominguez-Bello et al. In the first few days, the baby's microbial world begins to take shape. Look at the first row, which represents microbiome after 4 days of their birth. Vaginally born and breastfed babies already show a rich community dominated by bifidobacteria and lactobacilli, inherited directly from the mother. Vaginally born but bottle-fed babies have fewer of these beneficial microbes and more environmental species in their microbiome. The C-section babies, they have entirely different type of microbiome, showing richness in by microbes associated with the skin of the mother because they missed the birth canal of the mother during their birth. Now let us look into what happens after 4 months of their birth. The breastfed infant, the microbiome becomes even more stable and diverse, with friendly bacteria thriving. Formula-fed babies develop a more mixed microbial population, and the C-section group gradually gains gut-associated microbes, though their pattern differs distinctly from vaginally born infants. These early microbial interactions or differences formed in just weeks to months can have lasting effect on immunity and health. As we have seen, the story of our microbiome begins even before we take our first breath, shaped by birth, feeding, and every tiny interaction that follows. These microscopic partners impact our immunity and influence our future health. Understanding them is not just about microbes, it's about understanding ourselves. In this video, we covered some basics regarding how microbes found their way into our gut. In the next videos, we will continue our discussion around microbiome and techniques used to study microbiome. If you like the content of this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining in. I will meet you in the next episode of Biochemistry Insights. Till then, take care.